Thomas, man, thank you very much for coming on the show, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on board, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
It's absolutely awesome, and uh, things are very very interesting and exciting for you at the moment, man. You've finally ticked off some big things off that list. That 700 pound went up this year, man, and my God, did it look beautiful.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, but you know what, man, like. I find it so interesting, like, for you, a man that's come back and attacked this weight over and over again, to finally get it now, like, that must be, like, a fucking huge relief for you, dude. Like, that must be a big pound of bag.
It is, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like I've been fighting it and trying to get it for so long, and I've been so close. I've been, right at lockout, and it's like, man, it just everything aligned the day of, and I was finally able to make it look like it was a warm up. So I'm like, cool. This is good, man, and I just feel very confident going into the next thing. So
Yeah.
I'm just glad I finally got it. It's taking so long. People don't understand, like, to get to that type of weight. I mean, you got to really train a lot, and it's not like a 1 year, 2 year. This is a process. So, and it's every little thing, man. Every little thing counts with it. So, but I finally got it, man. So, thank God I got it.
It's sick. It's so sick. I'm interested to kind of hear, because of course it's really interesting that you bring up that point, and I don't think people really understand or respect or realize quite the dedication that even just something like this takes. It's
Yeah.
incomprehensible until you walk in those shoes, you know what I mean? But I'm interested to find out, was there like a point for you where there was like that, like, aha moment where you're like, okay, like, I got something here. Everyone's like,
Uh-huh.
damn, TD, what the fuck? And you're like, oh, this feels pretty good. Like, was there that light bulb moment for you where you realized that there was some way that you could take this further than you'd ever thought?
Um, to be honest with you, it's just really following that process, and like I think, like, looking, like, what I love to do, I like to look at like old footage and like see how far I've come. So like I'll look at videos from like 2 years ago, like I was only able to do like maybe a single or maybe a double with a certain weight, but like now I can do like triples or fours or maybe even fives depending on the weight it was, and it's just like, people don't like. I don't think a lot of people like to go back to look at that because they're like, oh, it's a failure. But that just kind of motivates me and to see how far I've come. So, but it also makes me know that if I can go through this, then the next step I'm gonna have to really work on from what I got now to be able to make that old step the same way. So now what I'm doing now, I have to make sure that's becoming like a double or a triple. Like, look at Julius. I mean, he just hit 700 like about 2 years ago, and now he's able to hit it for four, almost five. So it's that same mindset where it's like it doesn't matter the weight. We just know that whatever the weight is, we have to make sure that it gets easier for us every time.
I love that. I love that, man. And it's so interesting, like the way that you talk about it and you approach it, because it's like you come at it from like a place of like without fear. Like you approach it
Yeah.
with the like respect that you understand that it needs, but you're not there, attacking the crap out of it. You understand what that load can do to you if you get too hyped
Yeah.
up, if you start getting out of position, if that bar comes down on the wrong pathing, man. You've seen what happens, and it's not pretty. So
It makes a big difference.
it does, and people don't understand that. So like for you, would you say that you feel like you learn more like from like the technician standpoint through like the just constant repetition, or the fact like you've been amongst so many incredible lifters that you've just bounced ideas and you've kind of progressed that way?
I say both. Like I think a lot of people don't understand. Like even me when I was like not doing what I was doing now. Like granted, I was still lifting pretty heavy, like a few years ago, but I would still reach out to people. Like one of the first people like I reached out to was Brandon Allen, who's like one of my favorite all time power lifters ever. Brandon Allen's a great dude. I got a good relationship with him. Even though I'm not equipped, I built a relationship with Ryan Kennelly, who had the equipped bench record, because I had a problem with lockout, and they're great at lockout. But it was me, like, hey, reaching out to these guys, proving that I'm like gonna be something, and like learning from these guys, watching what they do. I mean, I was on the phone with Ed Cohen last night. Like we're working on something, and like I just keeping those people around, but also that repetition too. with not just what you do, but what you're watching to see where your flaws are at is gonna just take you so far. But you have to reach out to people, man. Like when people ask me stuff, I love to answer questions. Like ask me anything. I love that. Like because people help me, so I'm gonna help you. Like regardless of the fact, like I want people to be successful. When I die, I want people to be able to rep 700 when they're 20 years old. I want that to happen. Like, and it could happen. So.
Yeah, and I love that kind of like, it's really interesting, like that whole kind of like you're paying it forward thing. Like you, as an elite level athlete, have understood the value of being around like-minded individuals to give you those little tips and pointers. And I love the fact like that it's so easy for you to then sit back and be like, you know what, I'm gonna hold on to this information. Like I'm not gonna let it get out there. Like I want to be the best that I can be, but fuck everyone else. Like you're coming at it from the standpoint of like, hey, I want everyone to get better, me included. Like, let's level everyone up, and then I have to step up my game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love that coming from it. That's the passion, and like that's what I get from you.
That's
man.
how
like,
you gotta be.
Yeah, because I don't think you can. Well, I mean, you can speak about this, but I don't think there's any way that you could keep on reattempting that 700 without just like all that heart and passion for it, man. It's so much deeper.
Gotta have passion. I was obsessed with it. Like literally the days leading up, even just the weeks leading up, I'm just like 700s in the bag. And I'm just telling myself this, and I'm just obsessing about it. Like, besides like my son, who was almost born at the time, like he wasn't there yet, but like he was on my mind, and 700 was on my mind. That was really one of the things I really was caring about at the time. So it's like 700 son, 700 son, 700 7. That's all I was thinking about. And you kind of, I wouldn't say it. Well, I obsess about it, but I mean, you really have to manifest it in your brain that it's going to happen. Because like if you think about it, if you don't and your mind's not comfortable with it, when it comes time to do it, your mind's going to be like, what's going on here? So if you manifest it and you continue to manifest it in your brain, it's going to come easier. I learned that from James Strickland. He talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
And me and Julius, we talk about that a lot too. It's like, hey, 700 for him, 800, like you have to continuously tell yourself it's going to happen, and it will happen.
And I love that as well. The fact that you're kind of bringing up the fact that you and Julius are like spitballing ideas. They're like that's what I love about strength sports in general, man. Like even the biggest, strongest motherfuckers on the planet at the top of their game that are competing in like the same levels, all they want to do is help each other to get better. There's no like spitefulness. There's no like, okay, fuck that guy for hitting that before me. It's like, okay, he hit it, cool, kudos. Now it's time to work on me because I got to get to where you are and beat your ass.
Yep, that's exactly how it is, man. We were talking about that last time, me and Julius. I talked to Ed, then I talked to Julius last night. And like that's what we do, man. We encourage each other because if we can't encourage each other, then who's gonna light that fire? You gotta have that fire going, especially amongst your peers. I consider him like one of my good friends. Like we talk all the time, but if he's slacking, I gotta get on him. If I'm slacking, he's gotta get on me. So we keep each other up. So we continue to raise the bar. Why not?
Yeah, exactly, and that I love that. Like, why not? That's exactly it. And I think it's really interesting when you have gentlemen like yourselves at the forefront of the sport, because I think, man, in terms of like from a role model standpoint for any young athletes that are coming through the ranks that are seeing that, and again, it's that whole approach of like just the biggest, strongest dudes on the planet, but they just have the biggest heart to go along with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're all savages. You could all kill motherfuckers in an instant. Like, that's a given. But you don't need to take it there. Like, you're coming at it from a completely different standpoint. Like, you don't have anything to prove, and I think that's fucking beautiful, man.
It's the beauty of the sport, man. It's a very intense sport, but it's also it can be a very loving sport too.
Do you think the kind of taking those L's and getting slapped in the face a few times from those losses has kind of taught you to be more humble about it? Like, do you think that's why you can come from that place now, because like you've been through that struggle? Do you know what I mean?
Big time. I think because a lot of people, you're going to be one of the two. You really going to let those losses motivate you, or are you going to let them keep you down? And you can't let it keep you down, especially if you have goals in mind, because if you just sit there in a slump, you're not going to learn anything because you're just going to feel sorry for yourself. So it's like, all right, cool. I did something wrong here. That's fine. I learned something. You have to take a positive from it, regardless of the fact how bad it is. So, regardless of the fact whether you misgrooved it or you just weren't strong enough, you're gonna find something to pick up on, and then go from there and learn from it, and you're gonna get better. But like I said, a lot of people just stay stagnant too. You can't stay stagnant.
Yeah, but then I also think that that doubles back perfectly to what you were saying at the beginning about reviewing footage. Do you know what I mean? Like, I tell my clients I want to see every single top set. I want to see every single warm up set. I record pretty much everything that I do in the gym, because if I'm going, wow, that moved beautifully, I want to look back and go, okay, I was a half an inch in here,
Yeah.
my grip was out like a couple mil there, my scaps are back in this position, and then every single time I
Hmm.
reapproach it, you're like, okay, let's tick those boxes. Oh, it felt great again. Go figure.
Yeah. Yep. That's how it is. It's the little details, man. That's what I was on the phone with Ed last night. We are just talking about just little details can make the biggest difference. And like even like what you were talking about with warm ups. Some people don't take their warm ups seriously. I warm up differently sometimes depending on because of a certain way, but I do it because that's what works for me. But I'll always make sure it's consistent every time.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? You know, just that consistency over time it's the biggest factor, I think. And I think it's very, very easy when you start to get towards the top of your game, when you start to get busier, when you start to have other influences, to kind of skip out on those little things or maybe neglect them a little bit. Maybe you're traveling a bit on the road, you're not necessarily doing your activation quite as much, your mobilization. But for guys at the top of the game like you, man, you know, the difference between you hitting the 700 and not hitting the 700 is like a 1% margin. Do you know what I mean? Like, the margin for error is so small at your level, bro. It's crazy.
Very small. Very small. Like literally that lift had to have been perfect for me to do that, especially the way it did and how fast it went up. Like I had to make sure it was perfect the whole way through from approaching the bench. My mindset approaching the bench. Like people think, oh, this is when you first get on the bench. No, when you approach the bench, you have to already have that mindset going and ready to go. So it starts early, but I mean, like you said, that's a consistency of it. So
Yeah, and again, it keeps on doubling back because, you know, you're talking about approaching the bench. Like, before you even get there, before you've even done your warm up, you know, you're going through those manifestations and you're convincing your body that it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. So as soon as your ass hits that bench, you're like, right, I already know it's going up. Like, time to just put on a show and make sure it looks good for people. Do you know what I mean? So, like, do you think that from a mental standpoint, you are now approaching your lifts differently from the 700 plus? Like, are you having to come at it from a different place? Are you having to focus more on certain aspects in order to then keep on progressing past that plateau point that you kind of struggled and tussled with for a little while?
I think right now, I don't really necessarily change anything. It's just the consistency of keeping that grit towards it and making it. My whole goal is for every lift. I want every lift to look fast, and I took that from Kirill because every time I've watched him lift, it looked easy, and that's how I want my. I don't want it to be like a struggle or a grinder. I want it to be like he for sure got it, and it really wasn't that big of a problem. He could have went higher, and that's how I want my lifts to be. I don't want to have to grind everything. So when I do, I'm like, all right, speed, power, explosion, bam, go, boom. That's how I need to be every time.
Yeah, and but dude, you could see that in the 700 as well. Like, I watched the clip back like 5, 6 times, like an hour ago or whatever, just before I knew we were looking at this, and I was like, damn, just the speed you move it at. It's like anyone watching it must be like, this motherfucker could have got at least another 20 plate aside on there. Like, yeah, that moves so goddamn quick. But like, it's that whole thing of,
Quick.
yeah, but again, like, you're making it look quick and you're making it look fast and you're making it look easy, but by no
Uh,
stretch of the imagination is it. It just aesthetically it looks so beautiful because all of those points add up. And like, I don't think people realize, you know, again, talking about that margin for error, you've got like a stack of like 10, 15 different kind of chain of command, and it's like, if any one of these is swaying just a little bit, that doesn't look beautiful. It looks like a struggle, but you can still get it up. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? When the stars align and you hit that lift, it just looks effortless and it looks beautiful, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, so I'm interested to kind of go through. Obviously, like, now we're in a position where, obviously, post-COVID, competitions and stuff, you know, they're kind of up in the air a little bit. But we're seeing more and more, like, World Ultimate Strongman was over in Dubai and whatever, obviously pumping a ton of money with Rogue and the guys over on ESPN that are doing these incredible live events. And I feel like it's kind of moving closer towards that in terms of, like, ease of access, distribution, in terms of making revenue for you guys as well. I think it's a fucking brilliant path to go down. But I'm interested, as a competitor, being in that environment where you're just like, okay, there's like a camera, you got a couple of your guys around you, you got spotters. How does that compare to like being in a room, in a meet with all those people around you, or dude, being in the middle of Iron Addicts with CT, with Julian, with all those people? Like, it must feel different, no? Or do you take your brain off into a completely different place and it doesn't actually matter where you could be lifting because it's just awaiting you?
My whole thing is, man, the bigger the meet, the more I really want to just go ahead and do it. So I mean, I'm nervous. You know, I can't say I'm never nervous, but I get nervous, but at the same time, I'm hype. So I take it seriously every time, whether I'm doing a local meet for charity or something like that, or if it's on ESPN, I have to take it seriously. So, you know, I want to bring the best out every time, especially when I'm doing a max effort, because, you know, think about it, if I wasn't taking it seriously, I'm probably going to get hurt and I'm probably going to look stupid. So I have to make sure everything's serious the whole time. Granted, yeah, I do have fun. I'll joke around a little bit, but my preparation, we're going to have fun. So that's kind of how I take it. Some people don't think that way, but that's just me.
Yeah, man, and I think again that's that really interesting aspect of like how everyone lifts from like a different place. Like how you got that guy that's in the corner, headphones on, like, no one look at me, like I'm gonna kill someone in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like you got people like doing cartwheels and fucking jamming about and two-stepping and having
Weird
fun warming
stuff.
up. Yeah, dude, it's so interesting. There's so many different dynamics. So like for you,
some people drinking whiskey and stuff like that. Like I've seen that too. I'm like, okay, all right.
you're like, oh, we're going there, are we? Okay.
Yeah. Literally, so I guess.
But for you, like, again, has that kind of adapted through the time? Because of course, like, you've hit a lot of meets, you've hit a lot of records. Do you find that, like, obviously when you first started, that kind of, obviously the nerves were a lot higher and you didn't necessarily, like, the way I think about it is, obviously you have those nerves, and I don't necessarily know if they ever really go away, but it's that whole thing of like, when it's game time, it's game time. Like I used to have it with rugby, and, you know, would be in the changing rooms having our pep talk, and man, like, sweating all over, my heart's going at 1,000 miles an hour. We do our chant, whatever, we get ready, we get hype. As soon as the changing room doors open and I step onto that pitch and I cross that white line, it's just like, it doesn't matter how nervous I could be thrown up, and it's just like a autopilot, and it's almost like I'm not in control anymore. My body's just going through the motions and it knows what to do. Like, do you feel like you kind of got to that stage now where it's like, oh, I can joke about, because when I know it's game time, my body's like, yeah, let's fucking go? Or do you have to get into it a little bit more?
Let me just be completely honest with you. I'm stupid nervous until once I hit my opener, I'm fine. But before the opener, I'm like shaking and I'm like I'm mad, I'm excited, but I'm super nervous. But once I smoke my opener, then everything goes away and it's like fun time, party time, but we're gonna kick ass time. That's like exactly how I feel. But the opener is like always been my thing, where I'm like, oh God, like I have to hit this now, and I don't know why I even do this sport, and do I need to even be here? Like, I question everything, like it's crazy, but I mean that's just how it is. So I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
I can just imagine you under like 600 pounds, just being like, oh man, why am I here? What am I doing this for? Dun-dun. Oh, yeah, no, it's fine. Let's go, baby. Lift number two.
Yep, that's how I am. Cause I've always been nervous. Like, I don't, nobody wants to bomb out, so it's like, you gotta make sure you hit your opener, and some people don't hit openers. I've had that where not from strength, but maybe like a call or something like that. Like, that's happened before. So I'm like, okay, I should make sure I hit my opener. Let's get it done. So.
And then you can just kind of get into your groove from there.
Yep.
I love that. That's so interesting. So in terms of like your progression with that, have you found that like you've come to a point where you're like, I'm gonna test myself with my opener, or am I gonna hit an opener that I know is gonna give me the confidence, that I know is gonna give me the leap, that I know I'm gonna be able to smoke pretty confidently, and then my second lift I can start to take it up? Or are you always, okay, we're doing fixed percentile opener through to third lift? How do you approach that?
Usually with my openers, I'll take it at like anywhere above 90%, and that's just being ideal, because I think you've trained all the way up to 90, 93. Some people go maybe 97. I don't know who really would go max out before meet, but I've seen people go pretty close. So you know what you can hit, and especially because I think you take that week of, your body is rested. So with that rest, that fatigue is going away, and you're eating and you're sleeping a little bit more. So my openers are pretty much something that I know I can hit with a double. So nothing stupid crazy where it's like I'm gonna just open up with something I just did for a max, like the last meet. Some people do that and it's stupid, but I go straight to like something I can probably double for. The ideal is double or triple, but now that I'm going heavier, I can't make those like jumps like that anymore. So I've got to probably do something that I can double for sure. So.
Yeah, I think again it's that whole thing of that when you just get to those bigger weights, it's that whole kind of like percentile scaling really comes into play, because it's like, okay, well, yeah, it might be like, I don't know, 715 or 725 or whatever, but it's like, okay, now everything has to be slightly tighter together, because I can't risk the jump fucking up me too much, that then things are having to overwork and are overstimulated and I'm just out of rhythm. So I think it's really interesting for you, like now coming into a point where it's like, oh man, like the doors are open. This is a whole new world. This is a whole new spectrum that we can really get involved in. So in terms of like what you're going for now, obviously it's always more. Like we always want more. Like we're never satisfied.
Always want more.
But for you, have you got like goal time frames set, written out? Do you work in that way? Like what are you going for?
Right now, man, with COVID, it's kind of screwing with me a little bit, because I wasn't sure what meet I would be doing next. But my coach is Josh Bryant, who's the same coach for Julius and guys like Julius and James Strickland and Jeremy Hornstra too. And we've been talking, and I think the next goal here is to go for a full meet in sleeves and do 700 in a full meet. So that's going to be like my next big goal. Yeah. So I want to squat over 800 in sleeves. Obviously bench 7 in that meet as well. And then I've pulled 850 to like the last 2 inches like of my thigh. I just couldn't lock it out. I was super tired. So I'm happy that I was able to do it then, just to play around. So I know now that 900 would probably not be too far of a reach. So, especially now that I know my body, I think I can get it. I mean, my first full meet, which was last year at Dan Green's gym, I think I totaled 2238. And I mean, I squatted 8 in reps.
Yeah.
I benched like only 625. And then I pulled 8 out of nowhere. So, and I pulled beltless too. So I'm just.
Fuck.
Yeah, man. I worked on 4. So
you're a
I don't
savage.
know when the core's strong.
Damn, dude, that is insane. Absolutely insane. Like, so
You
that's
gotta
a
work the core.
really, really interesting dynamic because obviously, like, you've been working heavy hard on that bench for a long time now, changing things up and putting new things in the cycle, swapping out exercises, bringing new things in, and taking that demand across the whole body now. How are you finding that
Hmm.
transition, dude? Because that's a step up, hey.
I mean, it's hard, but I mean, right now, like, I know I can do it, and because I was starting to decline a little bit, and I'm sure you probably seen, but like I found out I had low testosterone,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what was screwing me a little bit, and I was like, man, like my doctor's like, you're like an old man compared to like old people,
Yeah, it was
other
like
people and stuff like that. My
70-year-old or
levels were
something,
like
wasn't it?
it was like a 170 or something like that. Like in the normal range is between 300 and like 1,000.
Yeah.
So I'm like I'm low, and it was just my old job. I worked at a jail for 5.5 years, and then it was hard to keep weight off because I'm there working there, and that's an unhealthy place to be at. So, um, I got I'm taking TRT now, and I'm working on getting my weight down. I'm working with Stan Effernan a little bit with the vertical diet,
Yeah, man.
and so I'm working on that. And I mean, now I feel really good. So I think even with that, I think I got a shot at doing something stupid in the full meet. So so
But do you know what I love? Like, I love the fact that you like, and I want to talk about that because I think that's a huge point to bring up. The fact that you stayed in that natty game for so fucking long, dude, and you would have died there as well if it wasn't a case of that your body was giving up on you. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I absolutely love that because there are so many influences along the way. It's like, hey man, pop this, go and get real strong, make sure we hit that PB, get that cash money, baby, and then we can go home. And it's like, yeah, but it's all the connotations that come with it. And I love the fact that, you and your other half talk about it on social and stuff about understanding that you don't necessarily need that and you can get a lot out of your body. But then also the fact that you guys are now kind of openly talking about the fact that, hey, we had this issue, we found out what it was, and now we are going on our way to overcome it. Obviously, things have changed for you now, and you're in obviously that different camp. But I mean, again, scale wise, it's completely minimal compared to what you'll find in the big leagues. But oh,
okay. Oh, you
okay.
back in?
I think so. I'm not 100%. I think we've got it.
Oh,
We can cut things up
okay.
afterwards.
I missed like half of what you said. I'm like, oh crap! So I got on my phone. I'm like, oh crap, we're still talking. I don't want to think I'm being rude or nothing like that.
No, it's absolutely fine. It broke up mine as well. So, like, obviously, the fact now that you've come across and you're now kind of working through the TRT, it's really interesting because, of course, you spent so long from the natural side of things and competing at that high level and taking that stress and strain on your body and really beating yourself down. And I think it's really interesting that you can come from that point of, hey, I did literally the most I could possibly do with my body before this, and look at all this
Yeah.
incredible shit that I achieved without it. Like, and I think that's a really, really beautiful standpoint because again, those kids that are looking up to you, it's so easy to hop on that bandwagon, pop a few mil of this, get fucking strong, break a couple records, get that cash, and then leave. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy. Like these kids now, like they know about like testosterone, and they know about trend, and it's just like you're still in high school, bud. Like you shouldn't be like worried about that right now. Your level should be out of the roof, and uh, but I've always said that I wanted to hit 700 naturally, and I was so close, and it didn't happen. But at the same time, um, regardless of the fact, I did do it, and I was the second youngest to do it. So that makes it cool, even with because the youngest to do it was Kirill, obviously.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I can't beat him. Not yet. But yeah, I mean, like I had a good all natural career, and the fact that I was honest about like why I was doing it, and I told my wife, I said even if it wasn't for that, if I decided to do that, I'd still be honest because I mean you see a lot of guys out here that do that, and it's like whatever, cool, like. A lot of people take that stuff. Like you'd be surprised. A lot of law enforcement officers do it, and it's just like there's a lot of people that do take it, like whether it's legal or not. And I'm cool with that, but don't lie about it either, and like don't compete in all natural federation when you're taking that. Like that's kind of stupid and it's kind of
Yeah.
selfish. You've heard the stories, man, and I think that being honest and being real, regardless of the fact of how people are gonna take it, makes more respect on you because you are real and you are authentic about it. So that's like I could care less if people are like, oh, well, you're a cheater now. Well, no, not necessarily, but yeah, I do take what I take. But hey, it's saving my life right now, so I could care less what if you get mad about it.
Yeah, and I
But
think
I'm real
it's
about it.
yeah, you are real about it, and you're coming from a point of like, hey, you can turn around to literally anyone in the world and be like, motherfucker, did you bench what I benched? Nah. Have you come anywhere close to what I benched natural? No.
A lot of them have it.
Why are you even talking about it? Like, it's just keyboard warriors, man. It's keyboard warriors
Yeah,
with like a 150-pound bench that are chatting shit, and you're like, dude, why? Like, I know the internet's there, but come on, like, there's literally no
yeah,
need. So it's good because again, you can come from that standpoint of like, what are you saying?
I've done it. Yeah, and that's the thing about it, and a lot of people don't understand that. Um, Regardless of the fact some people will still consider me being natural because I'm just taking what's getting me to normal level, and it's like if I'm not deciding this because I'd probably kill myself. I'm 400 pounds, but if I decided to go above that, what I would really be able to do, like it would be stupid, but I'm just normal now. So, I don't want people to think I'm like some bionic,
Bro, you
he-man
were
or nothing
bionic
like
before the
that.
TRT. Shut the fuck up.
I could be taking a lot worse. There's a lot of stuff that's available right now, and I don't know. I never really wanted to get into it, man. We had a guy that was from the area. His name was Nick Winters. I don't know if you heard of that name, but he was like a West Side guy product, and he was from Indiana too. And dude was strong. He lifted in the animal caves like years ago. He deadlifted like 800 like cold. Just like he would do stupid stuff like that, and but he ended up passing away. Like I don't want to be that guy. I want to be able to stay alive. I got a kid now, so I definitely have to.
Yeah,
And my wife would
congratulations to
kill
that,
me
man.
if I did that anyway. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting now because of course the game has changed for you. The fact that you have that family now, that you've got that bond that you've always wanted is like it's really interesting because it's come almost like at that perfect time. It's like, right, this was the time for TD to level up. We ticked the things off the list. We've got our
yeah,
why, we've got our motivation, we've got this clean path ahead of us, and it's like, oh shit, dude, like now it's really interesting because now you have all
yeah.
of that stuff to motivate you and get you going. I think we're gonna see some pretty
hmm
crazy things, man.
You're gonna see. I'm telling you, it's coming. I'm working my butt off, man. So I got a good team behind me, and I can't let anybody down, especially my little boy. So I gotta do what I can.
I absolutely love that. I think it's really interesting as well because coming into this sport again, a lot of people don't realize the time restraints and stuff, and the amount of hours that are spent grafting in the gym working on that craft is, dude, it's a part-time job as a minimum. Do you know what I mean? So I think finding that balance between lifting, having a family, a relationship with a spouse, a wife, your kids, whatever it might be, and having a job as well, man. Those are like three big plates to spin that are really hard to keep all
Yeah,
in the air at once. Like, How have you
People
found
don't
that over the
understand.
years, dude? Because that's like a whole nother game that people have no idea about.
Yeah, it's something, man. That's like one of the biggest reasons why I left the jail because I was working 12-hour days, and granted, I was only working 7 days out of 14, but when you're there for 12 hours a day, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. If I have to do cardio that morning, I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then go straight to the gym and go train. So and it takes me like an hour, or not an hour, but like 45 minutes from my job to the gym and then train, find time to eat within, those few hours or whatever, then go home and do it all over again. Like it was really wearing on my mental a lot, not just my physical, my mental. And, I was experiencing a lot of anxiety and depression, and I didn't really realize what I was going through. And I was just started to break down a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this feeling, So I finally got a blessing and got the job I'm at now. So I work for schools and like it's way less stress. And, Monday through Friday, as soon as I get off work, I can go train. I can still make it home and see my wife and, my son. And, I still got time to play Call of Duty when I want to. So, it's cool. It's less stress, man. But I'm telling you, man, like people don't understand. And, like you said, you have to do your job, and then you have to go home and meal prep. And my wife helps me with that a lot, but still, it's like I got to prepare a lot of my meals, and I'm coaching people online, so I'm watching people film, and I'm looking at
And you're having
this,
to
and
eat
I'm just like,
yourself,
man.
man. Like, dude, how many fucking calories are you on a day?
Right now, the most is probably like 4,000 because I'm still like trying to lose. I'm
Yeah,
eating a
dude,
lot
like
of
I'm on like
protein.
4,200, and it man, it's like that in and of itself. This is another thing, ladies and gents. You do not understand the amount of time you have to take out of your day, not only to just cook, but to eat the goddamn stuff. It's a lot of
Gotta eat it.
time out of your day, whether you're
Look,
jamming between clients and trying to fit it in, dude.
let me show you something. My wife got me this for my birthday,
Yeah,
and it
bro, I
comes
got
like
the same
six
one.
meals.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I got it from my. She got it from me for my birthday, man. I carry it all around, man, and I love it. But I mean, I have that every day. This is part of like my necessities. Like I have my wallet, my phone, my keys, my gun, and then this. Like I have everything with that, and that takes a lot of my time. A lot of time, a lot of money too.
And has a lot of that kind of like preparation standpoint. Again, like I've had Stan on the show several times, and he's awesome, man. And I know you've been working a lot with him, but he
Great
hammers
dude.
home big on that. Having that stuff prepared, having it there at a second's notice, so then when you hit that craving or you hit that low or whatever, you're like, okay, I'm not reaching for this. I'm not going to 7-Eleven. I'm not trying to pick up an IHOP. It's like, okay, let's get in the
Yeah.
bag. Let's get that monster mash down. Let's wash it back and let's crack on with whatever we're doing.
Yep, and that's what he preaches, man. And I've I started to go through like this like pre-diabetic thing. I don't know, like I was having these like little rashes on my skin, and it was like pre-diabetic like, condition that I had, and I was like, "Hey, Stan, like I need your help. Like, what's up?" And he's been working on me, and like the rashes went away. Like my blood pressure's been low, and like a good low, and like I feel better. I'm moving better. I mean, I'm doing stuff that big boy from Strength Cartel could do now. Like I can't do pull ups yet. I can't do muscle up and nothing like that. But I can do some cool like push ups, and just I walk my dog, and I don't feel like super tired. So I can do a lot more now, and I'm also keeping my strength too. So that's a blessing. Like what people don't understand, like you can work out super hard in the gym. That's great. But your transformation in what your appearance is and how you perform comes from the kitchen. And that's just point blank period. Whatever you fuel yourself with is how you're going to perform. So you can't put unleaded fuel into a jet, you know.
That's
That's where
exactly
it
it,
comes
man.
from.
That's exactly it, and I love that. And obviously, like you're saying, like you feel more energized now, you feel better. And I think, again, it's that kind of, it's what I call it the compound effect. You know, you had that change of job, so stress levels have reduced. The amount of cortisol you're producing is obviously going to be dropped massively. You're probably not worrying about half the amount of stuff, so your quality of sleep's going up. And I'm right in saying you use a sleep app now, hey?
Yeah, I just got it like a month ago,
How are you
man.
finding it?
All right, so I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard to adapt to it just for me because I used to sleep because all right, I first was a back sleeper, so I would sleep on my back all the time. But when me and my
Preach.
wife got together, I had to switch up because I snore super loud and she can't sleep.
Yeah.
So she would make me sleep on my stomach. I finally got used to sleeping on my stomach, and
Oh, I
now
know
I'm on
what.
the CPAP, so now I gotta go back. Yeah,
Oh,
so 'cause
snap.
it's a full mask.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Do you,
I've kind of like cheated my way to like I can like sleep on my stomach and just put my head this way, and like the tube's not getting all tangled around my neck. So I've kind of cheated a little bit, and I was able to get like 6 hours with it last night. So that wasn't too bad. But I mean, gosh, still, man, it's something.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things that, again, I think there are a lot of people out there that could probably do with the benefit of trying out one of these machines. But again, it's that whole kind of double-edged sword of the fact that, yeah, man, you are pretty much going to bed dressed up like fucking Darth Vader. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to get to bed. Uh,
Yeah, it's hard, but I mean, it's worth it. And like even like the minimal sleep I have gotten with it, I feel a difference. So like once I get used to it, and for a long time, like I'm gonna really see the results come in. So
yeah, man, and
it's just crazy. I don't know.
it sounds like, in terms of, you had this trajectory, you had this path, things were going awesome, and then obviously as the body starts to kind of get broken down more and more, it's like the more it continues, the more you try and carry on that way, like the faster the wheels fall off. And it's like now you've got the wheels back on, and you're kind of hammering out the dents in the chassis, and you're making sure that everything's running well. And it's like, okay, we're now about to go into that stage where we're about to put that big fucking engine in there, we're about to strip back the bodywork, we're about to get that car going from 0 to 60, like. And it's like, I think that's what's really exciting about this for me, man, as like someone that enjoys the sport and enjoys watching you. Is it's like, dude, like, you've been fighting with one hand behind your back this whole fucking time. Like, now you've actually
Hello,
got
what's
two
going on?
hands. Yeah, dude, like, this is it for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, and do you feel that you kind of you have that kind of freedom now? Like, you've kind of had that weight lifted off because you're like, right, I can finally see what I can do now.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. Just give me a little bit more time, and it's gonna it's gonna blow up. So just watch.
Yeah, man, 100%. Now, it's I really really like to wrap up the podcast in the same way for everyone, because I think it's interesting, because everyone kind of comes at it from a slightly different standpoint. So for a second, I want you to take a moment and imagine that you are stepping into a time machine. And when you step into this time machine, you're
Okay.
teleported back to a time with your younger self. 10, 11, 12 years of age. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Things that are going to shape your life forever are about to happen. You get to spend a few moments with your younger self, and you get to pass on a bit of wisdom, a mantra to live by, some advice to your younger self to help them navigate through the trials and tribulations of everything that you know that your younger self has ahead of them, and all of the issues that they're going to have to get through. What do you say to
Yeah.
your younger self to help you get through all of that stuff to the point of where you are today?
Um, what I would tell my younger self is to not hold things in and talk about them. Because I that's one. As a man, and it's crazy. Like us men don't talk about mental health a lot, like we should, and we are the ones that really suffer from it. I mean, a lot of suicides are us, and I've been in that point, man, where I was like, you know what, probably not gonna be here tomorrow. I don't know, and I think talking to someone and letting that stuff go and going to seek somebody and talking to would have helped me a lot. And also listening in health class because man, I'm huge. Don't get me wrong, like I'm getting better, but like I think if I would have ate right a long time ago, I would be at a whole different level than I am now. I mean, like, granted, yeah, I would have ate whatever like I did, but like not as much. And I think being more health conscious now, the things that I do know, I think I would have been better off. So, but the first one, the main, was the most important, and that's just really letting things, on the table and not holding it in, man, because that's killing us, man. It's killing us, brothers out here, and from regular day people to our army veterans and you know first responders. I mean, people see a lot of things. I mean, I've seen dead bodies when I was a kid, man. Like neighborhood wasn't the best. I've seen it. I've seen it all, man, and I don't talk about it. So I think that's my biggest thing.
100%, man. I could not think of a more beautiful way to end the podcast. I agree with you on every single point there. I think we desperately, desperately need to talk more. I think we need to break down these barriers of the kind of like toxic masculinity of we don't talk about our feelings. Like we're men, we put on a brave face. It's like, fuck no, man, we all feel what we feel, and that's fine, and you should be allowed to talk about it because we're all human at the end of the day. Whatever you're experiencing, someone else has felt that sensation or had that thought, and it's gone a multitude of ways. But for us, I think it's really important that you speak about it too, that we need to just feel comfortable enough to talk about these things, because you would be amazed at the amount of lives that can be saved just by sending a message or listening to someone, letting someone open up for a couple of minutes. You have no idea the difference that makes on people's lives and saves their lives. And I think that's really, really, really important and really beautiful, man. Thank you so much, dude. That was absolutely awesome. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. I cannot wait
Thank you for having me.
to see what's coming up in the next few years, man. Hopefully you'll come back on the show soon, and you would have smashed even more records by then.
Hey, before we leave, I got to ask you a question.
Go for it.
Who's going to win the fight next year, Thor or Eddie Hall?
So,
gotta ask.
So I personally, I think Eddie has a chance, and the reason I say that Eddie has a chance, one, like my coach is super awesome friends with him, and I've heard many stories about how Eddie has the capabilities to switch things on mentally, and I think he just has that kind of that dog mentality where like he will 100% die on his sword regardless. Like he is gonna go for everything, and I just think that he has maybe that 1 or 2% more fight in him than Thor will have, but that's my personal opinion.
I think you're right. I'm not gonna lie, man. I might take a couple bets on that one too, because I've heard people say that they think Thor's gonna win.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be happy to take their money when he gets beat. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the both of them, man. I do like the both of them. But when it comes to boxing, because I've been in fights, and I still got teeth marks on my knuckles from years ago, and I think Eddie has the dog in him to really do that. But I will say this: if World's Ultimate Strongman would like to have somebody fight Eddie after he wins, I would not be opposed to it. I do both of them. I would for sure take that fight. I would train for it.
Baby, you heard it here first.
Look, I would go straight to Mike Rashid. You know Mike Rashid. Yeah. I'm cool with him. I'd have him train me, and we would get down. I would not play with him.
Dude, I just I want to see this regardless anyway now, man. Like, oh my god, that would be incredible.
Any day I would do it.
All right, people, we need to hit World Ultimate Strongman up on social media. Start sending messages. Like, we've got to get the TD fight in there. This is it. This is the next thing. We've got it. Sign him up. Get that 6-figure. Let's go. Damn.
Let's do it.
TD, man, thank you so much for coming on board, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, dude.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.